Hi everybody. My name is Jerry Wise, and I'm the director and founder of Jerry Wise Relationship Systems. I have a website and a YouTube channel with that name, also a Facebook page. And I've been a self-expert and a relationship expert for close to 40 years now, working with all kinds of folks with all kinds of problems over the course of my professional career. And I'd like to share something with you today, maybe share some bits of information that could be helpful to you. This particular video is entitled, How to Have an Authentic Voice. One of the things in systems work and one of the things in therapy work or coaching work, we talk about being authentic and having an authentic voice. Well, I think of authentic voice as it fits into a system. And I don't believe there's any such thing as an authentic voice without the other. In other words, we need our interaction with others that makes us authentic and being ourselves with other people. So I always think in terms of relationship systems. One of the things I talk about frequently is having and using this authentic voice. And for many of us, fear, control, abuse, trauma, dysfunction, and enmeshment have made it impossible or very, very difficult for us to be aware of and to experience having an authentic voice. If we've never had a well-defined self and never known our authentic self, then how are we going to have an authentic voice? If we grew up in a family of origin in which there was abuse, alcoholism, drug addiction, physical, emotional abuse, narcissism, then our self does not develop and isn't valued. Our authenticness is generally crushed or put down or shamed. And so when it comes to having an authentic voice as an adult, it becomes very difficult for us. And you tell someone, well, be authentic, and they go, huh? What do you mean be authentic? And I remember the first time I had a therapist that was working with me ask me, well, Jerry, how do you feel right now? What are your feelings? And it's like, I don't have any idea. What do you mean, what are my feelings? No one asked me that. No one's cared about that. I don't know what I feel. I have no idea. I'm not even sure I know what my feelings are. It was all just a blur in there. And so I wasn't very self-defined and certainly didn't know much about myself, so I could be authentic. How could I share my authentic feelings if I don't know what they are? And again, that comes from what we've learned growing up and what we lacked in terms of what we needed to experience. Here's some ways to think about what an authentic voice is. An authentic voice does not operate at the limbic level or the lizard brain level within us. It is not about fight or flight. It's not controlled by anxiety. It's a voice which comes out of a well-defined self, with awareness of self, knowing our needs, our wants, validating ourselves, validating our needs, validating our wants, and our perspective, our subjectivity, and how we see the world. And again, it's one thing to say, well, I know I like chocolate ice cream. I can be authentic about that. But when it comes to my perspective in the world, I may not know much about that. In other words, what's my opinion about this or that, or how relationships should work, or that may be very, very unknown territory. So I have a little bit of selfness. I can tell you I like chocolate ice cream over vanilla, but that's not as helpful in a relationship, and in, it may be helpful in a Dairy Queen or Baskin Robbins, but it's not going to be as helpful in life and life skills. And so it's not a very defined self. An authentic voice is a voice which does not require the permission or acceptance of others. And of course, my voice always required permission of others and acceptance of others. So is it going to be an authentic voice? Nope. It's going to be a voice that's going to be, I hope everybody will like what I'm saying, and they won't be mad at me, and they will accept me. And an authentic voice is a voice of self-acceptance and self-caring. That's what's behind an authentic voice. It comes from within us, in which we empower ourselves to speak from within us and speak what we really feel and really believe. And again, it's not a voice that we speak what we feel and really believe in a reactive way, but in a self-knowing way, a calm self-realization way. Jan Smith from the Center of Authentic Leadership defines authentic voice in this way. It's the ability to recognize and name your real concerns and needs underneath the presenting issue of any situation, while also listening in partnership to hear another's real concerns and needs in order to find genuine solutions that will work for each person. And again, if you play that quote back, you'll see you have one person on one side of the tennis net, one person on the other side of the tennis net, and now they're going to negotiate. That's what an authentic voice feels like. We stay on our side of the tennis court. And so many times in relationships, we can't stay on our side. We jump over on their side, they jump over on our side, or we jump in the middle and grab each other. And then we're enmeshed. An authentic voice owns our sameness with others, because we do have sameness with others, and our differences with others as well. There are some things we have in common and some things we don't, with everyone. Except in some families and some systems, some companies, some churches, some family of origins, the only thing that's accepted is that you must be own the sameness with others. Don't own any of your differences. An authentic voice does not exist in reaction to another, but acts for self. It's not in reaction to, it acts for self. An authentic voice handles the resistance of others through the use of I statements and well-defined self-statements. In other words, I'm not going to argue with you. I'm just going to tell you what my perspective is and what I believe and what I feel. I'm not going to justify it, defend it. This is what. Because if we get into an argument, now we're going to start getting into enmeshment again. Until they're ready to allow some distance for me, I'm not going to be defending myself. I'm just going to be clear and make those statements. An authentic voice prepares for the negative resistance of others or within the relationship system. Whenever you begin to use an authentic voice, you probably will begin to get some resistance from those around you. That's very common because homeostasis, or the balance, has been maintained in how yourself operates in that system. You start using an authentic voice, and now you're starting to change your position and functioning in that system. There's going to be some real feedback, not feedback, resistance. I'll think of the word in a minute. An authentic voice flows from experiencing personal authority, having your own sense of personal authority. Donald Williamson, I think, wrote a great book called Intimacy Paradox, in which he talks about personal authority and growing up and having personal authority. That's a healing place for those who grew up in who are adult children of dysfunctional families, that we learn our own sense of personal authority. And if we can learn that within our family of origin presently, it can change all of our relationships as well. And authentic voice has us taking action to which others have to respond versus you being the responder. In other words, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to Dairy Queen and get chocolate ice cream. Well, I don't want you to go to Dairy Queen. I want you to go to Chili's and get da da da. No, I'm going to go to... and so they have to respond, not me respond to them. This is what I'm going to do because I choose to do that. I'm going to come, Mom, for Christmas on... would Christmas Eve work for you? Yes, but we need you to come on Christmas Day. No, I'll come on Christmas Eve, but not on Christmas Day. We want to have our own family Christmas. Now Mom's the responder, not you. And you stay with your broken record of authentic voice that will come on Christmas Eve, but we won't be there on Christmas Day. And she will give all the reasons why that's bad and why you're being bad and why that's awful. And you stay with the broken record. I hear what you're saying. I understand, but this is what I'm going to do. I have a sense of personal authority. Now, Mom won't like it, and it will take her a Christmas or two to get used to that. So we have to be patient. An authentic voice gives up excessive togetherness in a relationship. And I just uploaded a video called Enmeshment, the Problem with Too Much Closeness. I would recommend that video to you. Using an authentic voice is equal parts bravery and humbleness or humility. Bravery means using our voice before we feel ready. Humbleness is the ability to face our flaws and imperfections when they're written in black and white before us. That's okay. I have imperfections. I have selfishness. I can make a mistake. I can be insensitive. I can be unloving. All those things are true. But this is still my voice, and this is what I need to say and want to say in terms of declaring self. An authentic voice can be used to defend self as well as be intimate, vulnerable, and protective. Almost like a good parent, that authentic voice is used to protect and have boundaries. It's also used for intimacy and love. It beefs up the protection and it beefs up the love. And when you have an authentic voice, it enriches that intimate relationship significantly. An authentic voice speaks the language of individuation versus the language of dependency. In other words, where we're always scanning and looking out and to see who we are according to other people. No, I'm going to have this voice in which I'm an individual while connected to others. An authentic voice is non-reactive and does not use other people to work out issues. Excuse me. We don't need to use other people to work out our issues. I don't need to say, well, Mom, my sister Camelia said she wasn't coming on Christmas Day either, so that's why we're coming on Christmas Eve. No, I don't need other people to work out my issues. I need to have my voice. Camelia can have her voice. An authentic voice is neither our family of origin speaking within us or out of us, or our trauma speaking, but is the mindful voice, the awareness voice of ourselves. I might recommend the book Mindful Compass by Andrea Shera. She's a Bowen Family Systems author, and she wrote a good book on being mindful. An authentic voice honors the gift of who you are. An authentic voice gives permission to be ourselves. Gives yourself permission. The world is not going to give you permission to have an authentic voice. There may be more environments in which they would accept you with an authentic voice, but you have to choose whether you're going to have permission to use it or not. That's your personal authority and your choice. The more we practice our authentic voice, the more others will begin to experience a new us in a relationship system. So how do I think about having an authentic voice? Well, ask yourself these questions. What would I choose or want if no one else mattered, or it would cause a problem for no one? What would you truly want? At least start there. Just like with Christmas with Mom. I think what I'd really like to do is take my family over there on Christmas Eve, but not go on Christmas Day so we can have our Christmas. That's my dream. That's what I'd like to do. Well, that's starting with the authentic you. And then we can work out steps to implement that. 2, how could I say this in a way that neither tries to change them, but only speaks about me? Do I use email, text, person to person, letter, card, phone? And do I, again, am I not working to change them? I don't expect Mom to be okay with me not coming on Christmas Day. And I don't require she accept that. All I require is, this is when I'm coming, and this is when I'm not. So if you're setting a plate for me on Christmas Day, it will be a wasted place setting. But you're free to make that place setting if you'd like to. How would my authentic voice be challenged? And then what will I do then? What's my plan? Having those plans in place empowers you more and allows your authentic voice to be parented or cared about or planned for. And so we have less anxiety and less fear about that. How can I take into account the relationship system I am working in to communicate my authentic voice? In other words, don't use the therapist's words or someone else's words. Use your own voice and your own words. Never attribute that to someone else. That's not having, and I have a lot of people that go home and say, well, Jerry said that this is what da-da-da-da-da. That's not an authentic voice. That's a triangulated voice, an enmeshed voice. That's not an authentic voice. If Jerry said something to you and you believe it, and it's yours, then speak it as your voice. Don't attribute it to someone else. I mean, unless they say, hey, that's really interesting. I'd really like to learn more about that. Where did you maybe find that? Okay, well, that's less challenging and less confronting. But I think it's we want to be careful about, we speak for our voice and not anyone else. We don't need anyone else to have an authentic voice. If this is a new behavior or voice, take responsibility for the change in our pattern of relating. In other words, I understand, Mom, that you always expected for the rest of my life that we'd bring our family over on Christmas Day and Christmas Eve or whatever. So I understand that's been the expectation, and that's how our system works. But I would like to introduce a change. Say less, not more, especially when you're using your authentic voice. Plan not to defend yourself. Let people digest the authentic voice you are now speaking. Listen to their responses or reactions, but don't overfeel and don't absorb them, only observe them. Deal with shame, guilt, sadness, and your sense of control prior to sharing your authentic voice, because you don't want those feelings clouding your authentic voice. Make sure your voice has no push or pull in the message. In other words, I'm just standing right here. I'm not trying to push you. I'm not trying to pull you. I'm right here and staying on the earth with my feet planted right here. And as I said earlier on in the video, stay on your side of the tennis net. Don't jump over the tennis net. Don't meet them and become enmeshed. Stay on your side of the tennis net. Let them stay on their side. Use the language of the super self in the system, and I'll explain, but stay out of the emotion of the super self. For example, Dad, I know you've been disappointed with me in the past, and you have your hopes and dreams for me, but this is what I want to do with my life and my career. So the super self says, I need to follow what Dad wants me to do. That's our family super self. You can use the language of the super self, but don't get caught up in the emotion of it. And again, I think it can be helpful to use that language because we're explaining, I know this is how we all feel and think, and that's okay, but this is what I want to do. There's much more we could say about our authentic voice, but I didn't want to make this a 2-hour workshop on that. I'm working on some of those workshops for you. I hope you'll be watching out for those. One writer on the Huffington Post says this about, there are 5 ways to embrace your own authentic voice. Write in a journal every day to strengthen your voice. Very good advice. Practice speaking your truth without anger or resentment. Sometimes we do have to practice that. So we practice a self-differentiated voice, not a voice that is reactive. Very important. Write out scripts that feel authentic to your soul, your mind, your heart, and practice saying them aloud. I do lots of role plays with folks to help them learn how to do that. And they then weeks down the road, they find themselves automatically doing it and going, "Why? I just did that automatically. That just felt so good." Role play speaking your truth with safe people to build up your courage. A coach, a therapist, a pastor, a friend, someone who will be supportive of you and safe. And then celebrate every time you're able to speak up and shine your light. I hope this video has been a help today. Please contact me if you'd like to work with a self-expert. Go to my website, www.jerrywiserelationshipsystems.com. Join my Facebook page. Join this YouTube channel. And if you'd like to be on our mailing list, send that at the website. Send in your email. I want to thank you today for watching, and I hope you have a great day.